If you had to start all over again, go from the beginning, scratch, what skill would you focus on? So, the skill, plural, okay? First of all, my biggest asset, I have to say, would be my willingness to communicate. I can get in front of one person or 100 people and be just as comfortable speaking to one person as I can 100 or 1,000. Now, I'll tell you something, it is something I developed. It is not something that was natural. I remember in the very beginning, this is the true story, right, guys? I got a job as a telemarketer where I was supposed to call people up and talk to them. And I was petrified. This whole, oh, he's a natural born salesperson. No, right? I had to go through the terror, and it was terrifying to pick that phone up and talk to someone. And you know what though? I tell you, I showed up into a boiler room and where they just let me sit there and stare at the phone for 3 goddamn days. 4-hour shifts, stare at the phone, like my stomach were in knots. The idea of picking that thing up and calling someone, I couldn't do it, and it took me about 12 hours to get through that. Here I am talking to you on a video, and it'll go out to thousands of people, and I've been in large meeting halls talking to hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands and thousands of people. It doesn't bother me. So I have to say, the number one skill that I would want to concentrate if I have to start all over is to get my communication skills up there, going higher and higher, doing acting classes, getting a chance to talk in front of audiences, and communication skills. There's a course that you can do online called Communication. Secondly, and man, it is kissing really close to my communication skill, it's being able to, how do I evaluate people, okay? Because I talk about like business and life and business. How do you separate that? You know, I come home, I have a family, I have a wife, I have kids, I have a business, and it has employees. It's just people. My wife's a person, my kids are people, my employees are people, my customers are people. All this thing is about people, all right? And you need to be able to evaluate them. You need to see what you see. You need to be able to hear what you hear and understand what's going on between this person's ears. You got another fellow human being over there, all right? And they are not easy to always deal with. They don't always have good intentions. Now, the plus point on it is most people, I mean the mass majority of people are good. But man, I'll tell you something, you could get some nasty ones on your lines. And here's the problem, like it's not like in the movies where they have horns growing out of their heads and they look challenging or they look evil or they look whatever. It doesn't work like that. They could look like the next door babysitter. They could look like your grandma. They could look like your favorite high school teacher. They could look like anybody and everybody. But what they do and what they say and what happens around their world, do you know what you're looking for? Do you have the idea of how that works? And I'm going to tell you something. I would be a billionaire many times over if I knew this data and could use it like really well, like I can today. I would be wealthy beyond wealthy because I wouldn't have lost my first company. That's it. The company was growing. And if you had taken that and multiplied that over time, that would have been $1 billion baby too. And that would have been when I was in my 30s. And just think of the money I would have made on this thing. Here I would have become a billionaire. I'm not working towards it in my 60s, but being one in my 30s. That is how important that technology is, that data, that information. You have to understand the characteristics of people. Unfortunately, about half of all weddings and marriages, they fail because it was an inability to read the person that you got married to. How's that any different than in a business? You got people coming in there to be an employee with you. If you don't read them right, you get the wrong person in there and they do these nasty things, you're going to lose your business. You're not going to make what you want. You're not going to be successful like you want. You have to be able to read this here. When these people come in there, and you can learn about the attributes. What can you look for? What can you listen for? Because they act in a certain way and you will be able to determine it. And I'll tell you something, nothing, and I mean nothing, will be more important than to learn how to judge people and make sure you have the right ones around you. Because now you can start building, you have the foundation, you have good people around you that won't be overly destructive. Because let's face it, all of us, you, me, we have bad days, okay? I'm not talking about that, all right? I'm talking about people who have a bad lifetime, and they're gonna make sure that everyone around them have a bad lifetime. That's what I'm talking about. Okay, hope that helps. Those are the top two. But man, I'm telling you, if you don't know how to communicate and you don't know how to watch out for these other people, the rest of it doesn't matter. And that is a fact. I'll talk to you later.